Good morning. Guilt or regret? Are you willing to live with guilt, or are you willing to live with regrets? We have to remember that we are unique, and no one is like me, no one is like you. You are you and I am me, and we are meant to be someone. We have our talent, we have our skills, we have our strength, we have our weaknesses, and we have them in a certain combination and proportion. That's what makes us unique. So are you willing, if you are meant to be the largest, the biggest, the best farmer in your town, and you like dirt, and that's why you wanted to be a farmer, and you are meant to be the best farmer, producing and sourcing a large portion of your produce to many consumers in the United States. If that's who you are meant to be, well, are you comfortable giving that up, who you are meant to be who maybe your parents think you should be, maybe a surgeon, and you end up being a mediocre one because they think you should be a doctor making a lot of money so that they can bank on that, and you end up being a surgeon that, hey, his job, and you hate your job, even though you did it to please maybe your spouse, your parents. You make a lot of money, but you hate your job, and how fulfilling that is. So you have to see which one you are comfortable with. Pleasing people around you and live in a regret, or achieving that goal you always dream of with the guilt of not doing what people around you expect from you. I'm just going to give an example of myself to illustrate that point. When I was younger, probably in middle school, we have a physics class, and they talk about planets. It's just the science of universe, and I'm so passionate about that science that I went to our school library, and I read, like, during recess, I'll just go there and I read physics books, all the physics books that will have a chapter on planets, solar, annual solar, anything regarding planets, stars, galaxy, and all that, and I'll read there. And when they did a test in physics that has anything to do with planets, I will score on that. I'll just get it right because I went through all the physics books that they have at the library that had a chapter on the subject. That's how passionate at that age I was on it. And when at home, I don't watch news, but when the news is on and they start talking about this, they talk about a rocket going into space, my brothers, my siblings will call me over that a rocket is going to space, and then I will rush over to watch what they are saying about it. So my parents, my siblings, they know how passionate about that science. And even at one point, because I watch a lot of cartoons, I wrote in my notebook, I wrote a short novel on aliens, so like I went this. I don't even remember how the story was, but it was a long one. It took me a few years to write it, but it was just in a notebook. So yeah, and I just wanted to know more about that science, and I decided at one point that when I graduate from high school, I will study astronomy. And I heard my dad would say, well, there is no point going out of space when on Earth we have so many problems to solve. And on top of that, there is no college, the university in the country, it was in Africa, they didn't have that program. So I had to go outside of the country for that. So when I graduated from high school, because I graduated with a major in biology, mathematics, physics, chemistry, my mom suggested that I go to medical school because she's a nurse, and my dad wanted me to go to business school because that's where he went. And a teacher that was a family friend that didn't know much about me suggested that I study sociology or psychology or something like that, which was not really what I went to high school for, because I more was into the science area, not language area. So but I'm more like a general type person. So the major in high school where I was placed in, even French, English, how they call it, philosophy, they all was a high credit were given to those as well. So I had to study everything. But biology, math, physics, and chemistry, they were above those. So I leaned toward, the science area, and biology was not really my strength, but it was really the top of all of them. So automatically people from that type of major, they go to medical school. So pretty much that's what I was prepared for. And I ended up going to business because my parents would pay the tuition. So everything that people were suggesting around me, business was, I just couldn't handle seeing people in pain. So I don't really see myself going into medical school. So I went to business. And my dad suggested that I major in accounting. So he's accounting and finance. So he did finance. So I did accounting. And I major with a bachelor in science degree in management, and then master's in science degree in management. So with accounting being like the core of that. And for years I would say to myself that I don't really know what I'll do with my degree, because I went to college for my parents. I would say that to myself, that I went to college for my parents. I went to college for my parents. And I didn't really know what to do with my degrees. And then when I came in the United States, I remember, I think my mom told me not to go to astronomy program. So when I came, I'm more somebody that when I start something, I like to finish it. So since I started business, I have masters in it. I decided, well, it will be good. I continued that. So, and I didn't know I'll be accepted to go for my doctorate. So I applied for MBA, and I was like halfway through it. Then my advisors called me and said that, well, in fact, you could go for a doctorate if you wanted to. And I said, well, I really want that, but at that point, halfway through MBA, I prefer to finish that way. I know that I finished something, So I finished, and I finished my MBA. So I have that in my mind that I will go for a doctorate at some point. And I just was fed into that focus on education, find it, and when you graduate, you find a good job and you have a better life, So that was the goal. And I graduated with an MBA in around the economical crisis of 2019, and I 2009, not 19, 2009, and I couldn't find a job. So yeah, and even at that point, I didn't know what I would do with my business degrees, because it was not really something I was. And something that I forgot to share as well is, when I graduated from high school, at that point, I knew that I like plants. So I will plant things, I will grow fruit trees, and I will just watch things grow. I like to watch plants grow. And I said that when I graduated from high school, since I know that astronomy program was not offered by the university, and my parents wouldn't appreciate, didn't even want me to go to study that, I would study agronomy. And when I graduated, I pointed out, and my dad said, that's engineering pretty much, you know. And my dad said, well, agronomy program is very difficult, and he doesn't want me to study something that is that difficult. So, and that I take things too seriously, and he doesn't want me to stress too much over education like that. So finally I went to business. So well, I started something that I didn't really have the inclination for to start with. So I didn't really know what I would do with it, what kind of job I would do with it, you know. So yeah, even though I was very good in accounting, and I would work with a boy that was a neighbor, and we'll share our homeworks, and he'll say, well, I will ask him questions regarding math, and he'll ask me about accounting, and be surprised at how I went to I did general study in high school, and like if I went to a community college, you know, in accounting. So because it was just faster when I start university, it was just faster for me to grab accounting concepts, and I don't even know why, but now I can say that it's because I like numbers, so that just click in. Maybe I have what it takes to go to business school, but at that point it was just something I started because my parents suggested, and more everything that they suggested, that's what made sense to me, that's what I was comfortable with. So yeah, I started with something they suggested, and for years I repeated myself that I started it for them. So when I came here in the United States, I went for that MBA because I wanted to finish what I started. And I have a job, but it took me years to find the job that I'm in now. So spending years studying, I didn't join the workforce early. I have worked part-time, multiple jobs, without that didn't offer a retirement account. So I've been in my current job for 6 years, and 6 years of 401k is now enough to prepare for a retirement, and I'm 42 going to 43. So I feel like I'm now prepared. I'm now prepared for retirement. And after taking so long to find a job related to my career, I say to myself that, well, having one single income is not the way to plan of putting food on the table for my children. I need to have multiple. So I kept some part-time job like substitute teaching because I like to teach. So I like that. And I just, at some point, I just felt like trading time for money is not the way to scale. So to reach my financial independence goal, financial freedom, I have to create other avenues of income. And that's how I start investing in the stock market, which I really like as well. And but I have that in the back of my mind because we didn't have the resources to do that. So we start that, and we start investing in tax lien, property tax lien. And I have, over time, I have my sole proprietor selling soap and handmade towels, and then I have my consulting as well. But I didn't, you know, I have all those businesses created around 2015, shortly after I found the job that I've been in now. But at that time my kids were young, and it was just so hard to balance my family life, spouse life, and my job, and then a business. So I work on the business when I have time. So I didn't really spend a lot of time on it until now that it's a little bit easier to have, you know, to work on the business, as my kids can do some stuff on their own as well. So I'm trying to restructure everything, but I'm still at early stage for the business, and it needs a lot of my time. And I feel like for the goals that I wanted to reach, you know, I have to put in the time, and that's the time that everybody around me want a piece of me. So I have to be very specific on that, very, you know, how to prioritize. So that's just an example of how you can choose between regret and good, what you are comfortable living with. So, and even now I still have, because my parents are with me, they are, you know, good tripping that I'm not spending time with them, but I wanted to figure myself out trying to reach my goal, financial security, financial independence, financial freedom, creating multiple sources of income so that I don't depend on my employer to help my husband feed our family. We live on credit cards when I didn't have job, and when I found a job, we paid them off. And I don't want to have just that job, because every time there is an economic crisis, I wonder if either one of us jobs will be affected. Last year, my husband didn't like what change his job was going through, his company was going through, and he almost quit. I told him that's fine if he wanted to quit. We already worked for years to narrow down our expenses. We will be able to make it. And a year before that, during a government shutdown, I wonder if I will have a job, because they were related. So, and that's just that pressure that we go through year after year. So having one source of income is a little bit risky for us employees to rely on, and with all the pressure that comes with the job to start with. So it's very important for me to have a business that takes off, because I have kids that we have college um, expenses that we will accommodate when the times come. We should, and we have our own retirement we need to prepare. My husband is the same age as me, so we need our retirement plan that we need to, because I don't plan on living on my children in their retirement. And like the generation before me, like my parents, they think children should take care of them when they retire, and they pay for our education, and think, you know, we should be providing for them for their need, which is their wants. They call their need, they call their wants their need. They retire, but they are not in need. And my in-laws is that has not retired yet, but she will. So we have our parents. I love them dearly. My in-law and my parents, I love them, and I know that when they are in need, we should step in and help them. But now when they are not in need now, and I need any financial, any extra cash that I can get my hand on to invest in our business, because I want to be able to help them. We want to be able to help them when they are in need. So that's that pressure there. So we have our parents, we have our children, we have ourselves, that we need to be financially prepared to face those expenses, and we are not there yet. So, and then they want me to sit down and talk with them. Yes, well, I have to choose regret or guilt, which one I'm comfortable with. And I prefer to be who I'm meant to be, achieve the goals that I need to achieve, that I want to achieve, and live with the guilt. Yes, I will miss them when they leave, go back to Togo, but something has to give. So if you are in the same situation, you are trying to make something out of yourself, and you are facing that dilemma, well, what are you comfortable living with? There is no right or wrong. It's all about how you can deal with, because you cannot satisfy everybody and satisfy yourself, and you cannot be poor. You cannot help the poor people by being poor. That's from Abraham Lincoln. So, are you comfortable with guilt or regret? Thank you for watching. I'm Afiavi Ojune Liberman, creators of Liberman Consulting L.L.C YouTube channel, owners of Nina Soap. And we have our natural products, ninassoap.com, where we sell natural products like bamboo towels, flower sap towels, and we sell unscented soap as well. ninassoap.com, and we have custom apparel store, liberlabel.com. And when you go to Nina Soap, the blog, ninassoap.com, We have our email address. If you have any question, feel free to email us. Thank you for watching our video. Thank you for subscribing. And thank you for commenting. You stay safe.